Good morning.
Good morning.
And welcome to Let's Be Frank. Today our topic is, what are you thinking? I'll let Herman explain.
That wasn't a great... I was just passing the buck.
Yep.
Okay, so what are you thinking? I wanted to talk about this because I've just recently experienced a number of times, different occasions, incidents, where it became so obvious and relevant about how we allow our thoughts to drive our behavior.
Yeah.
And it just made me realize again how important it is to pay attention to the thoughts.
Yeah.
Because our thoughts have such an important influence or impact on the rest of our bodies. So I think we all understand and agree with the fact that your thoughts can change your physiology very, very quickly. And that's extremely important to me.
Yeah.
When you talk about people who are going through a period of stress, for example, well, where does that come from? You know, well, how much do you contribute to the fact that you are kind of living stress?
Yeah.
And how much can you help overcome that stress, for example, by just checking your thoughts and changing your thoughts? So that's one example. The other one is this is where we allow our thoughts to kind of run away with a certain scenario and so on.
Assumptions.
You know, and that leads to assumptions. And it leads to expectations.
Yeah.
So I think there's a correlation between the assumptions and the expectations, where you make certain assumptions and that kind of results in an expectation.
Yeah.
Well, you start playing out these scenarios in your mind, which I think we're all pretty good at, and then you end up with an expectation based on these assumptions that you make. And if things play out this way, then that is what either I'm going to expect or how I'm going to behave.
Yeah.
And that's, I think it's counterproductive.
Yeah.
And certainly in my own experiences, I found that to be counterproductive. Whereas if you pay attention to your thoughts, and you change your thought patterns to I don't know, I don't want to say just a more positive, you know, it's not like, well, you know what, the plane is going down, but just going,
be happy.
Well, just be happy and
cheer up.
Yes, we're going to land in a field of daisies and we're all going to be fine. And I'm not talking about that kind of, you know, bullshitting yourself about certain realities. But rather than just kind of get on that negative train of thought, to really think things through.
Yeah.
And don't allow your thoughts to run away with you. And be aware of kind of how it makes you feel.
Yeah.
That thing about the physiology is incredibly important.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, one of the best examples of that is you know, Tony Robbins is a good example, I think, where, you know, the jumping up and down.
No. I don't think I do.
Oh, you don't?
No. I do know about like the Superman pose and the Jordan Peterson stand up with your shoulders.
Straight. Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
So Tony Robbins goes a little bit further. I mean, he actually has people jump up and down physically and so on. Just check the effects on you. There's another coach that I know that makes you skip because it's impossible to be unhappy when you skip.
Or like jumping on a trampoline, or something, you know.
Yeah.
How can you be sad?
Correct.
Yeah.
So there are lots of examples of that where we just our physiology changes, and if we just sit and you slouch and you allow those negative thoughts to kind of run away with you, it makes you feel crappy.
Yeah.
And that's kind of just my thinking, you know.
Yeah.
At the moment, it's something that I'm trying to pay a lot of attention to.
Well, I mean, there's even evidence of it in the negative. Things like you mentioned stress earlier. There are stress-related illnesses, shingles, for example, and hives, and things that you physically manifest because of a mental thing going on. So I think that, it's so obvious that these things are related, and that your mental state of mind affects your physical. And there was something I was going to say now, I'm completely blank.
It's interesting that you mentioned that some of these illnesses which are directly related. And I think there are many, many more. So we know from the Psycan workshop, the leadership alchemy workshop, you know, that there are those who firmly believe that even cancer comes from stress. And I think that there are other factors, you know, definitely other factors involved in that as well.
Yeah.
But typically you find that when people are negative, especially, and kind of negative thoughts take over and so on, you start neglecting some of the other elements, which we know contribute to
diet and exercise and sleep and
sleep is obviously one that affects a lot of people. You know, when they start stressing, which I believe has got a lot to do with kind of the thoughts that you allow to enter your brain. A lot of people lose sleep.
Yeah. So doesn't it come back to self-awareness and being aware of your part in whatever's happening and what you can and can't control, the line of insanity or whatever? It's kind of focusing on you first.
Yeah, absolutely. So I try to be very aware of that as well in terms of so when I experience what I perceive to be people allowing their thoughts to kind of run away with them, I think the first reaction of anyone is to try and help, is to go, no, that's wrong. But then I also try to be very aware of, what is in my control? All I can control is how I react to that.
Yeah.
But and that's fine. It's fine, and it's very true. It's about how I react to that.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you must leave the other person up to their own devices and just allow that to continue, especially in a work and in a team situation where we know how important it is for a team to function as a team.
Yeah.
And the negative effect it can have if one member of the team is either not aligned, and we have many examples in our formula, and also in Fit for methodology, the good old 5 dysfunctions of a team.
Yeah.
So it is about, it's not my problem, it is the other person's problem. But what is my responsibility in terms of how I react to it, and how do you correct that behavior?
Yeah.
So definitely all interrelated. All those elements that you mentioned.
Yeah. Well, I find with some of these things that you were talking about in the beginning, where you make assumptions and then you have expectations for another person, often the first reaction with something like this, or where you disagree with someone, is defensiveness. And I think that can really create a chain of two people getting very defensive and neither one looking for the solution that works best for everyone, which is why we have that pot principle internally, which is that, you know, we have unfiltered, passionate debate, even if we disagree, in pursuit of the truth. And so it's maybe figuring out what that common goal is, or what the commonalities are, and maybe identifying those things, and then making sure that you're both having that argument or that discussion to get to that outcome that you both want, or, you know, or the group wants, or the team wants. Is
I'm comfortable with the use of the word argument.
Conflict.
Conflict is not necessarily a bad thing.
Well, I think as long as you're clear about what that goal is, or what the outcome is that you're looking for, because that's the problem, is sometimes maybe we're not all on the same page about what we want in the end. So maybe it comes back to that, is just going back to the first point, which is, what do we want out of this argument or conflict or conversation or whatever it is, discussion, debate, and then just reminding everyone in the room that this is what we want to get to. So whatever it takes to get us there.
You're 100% correct about that. I mean, I can think of a meeting not too long ago where I distinctly got the impression that this is all about being very defensive, and as much as I tried not to get into that, I found myself kind of dragged into also being defensive, not of myself, but of my team, and in terms of the goals which I believed that we're working towards. And it is, if you don't have that agreement up front, it can be difficult in a situation like that to kind of stay on track and not get defensive. But it is something to guard against. And we certainly have found internally, especially when we have that simple reminder at the beginning of a discussion. I actually want to pay attention to that a bit more, is because we are getting a little bit lackadaisical with that.
Well, the same as our kind of meeting rhythms and the meeting formulas and things like that we had spoken about when we were in Cape Town the one time and published on the podcast. With one of the things is what is the reason for the meeting, and you have to fill that in. And that kind of helps you stay on track with what that goal is, what that outcome is that you're working towards, before you remind everyone of the pot principle, is this is the outcome that we want. So that also kind of helps you can relay back to that thing in the agenda, that this is what we're working towards.
And it definitely ties in with the what are you thinking part, because it helps people focus. People come into a conversation, and it's not always when we have, especially conversations with individuals, I don't think we necessarily set that expectation. So just think, in any social situation, for example, you start having a conversation with somebody, or maybe not even a conversation, but you see how somebody reacts. I don't know, just general behavior. Somebody in the office, I don't know, throws a tantrum, could be anything. And then your thoughts kick in, which is very natural and necessary. But then you start making certain, I think, assumptions, instead of, and maybe this is a good principle to take forward, is to say, well, whenever you find yourself in a situation like that, is to kind of bring it back, the conversation, to, okay, what is it that we want to get out of it? And it may not be as simple as when you're having a social conversation about saying, well, let's just kind of revisit what is the purpose of this conversation. But to try and find ways where you can get that alignment about what is it that we're trying to get out of this. And in that way help to focus the thoughts, so that we don't either get defensive. I mean, why do we get defensive? Ego gets in the way. And I was just listening to a conversation with Eric Schmidt, ex-CEO or chairman of Google, where he relayed how his ego got in the way. And you think about how powerful that is for somebody to get somebody in that position.
Yeah.
You know, really such a brilliant company and brand, to get to that realization that, you know what, my ego got in the way here. So little techniques, I think, that we can use to help make sure that we keep our thoughts in check. Definitely to try and establish what is the outcome that we're looking for here.
Yeah.
Can we agree on that?
Yeah.
And then definitely try and not get defensive.
Yeah.
Always be truthful. Make sure that your ego is in check. It's impossible to not have an ego.
Yeah.
But to make sure that your ego is in check.
Yeah.
And I think if we can do that, rather than allow our thoughts to just run away, create the assumptions and expectations, rather ask the question than make the assumptions. I think that's really important to make sure that we not only help ourselves, because it is about my thoughts. Nobody else has control over my thoughts other than me.
Yeah.
But also to gain understanding from other people, and obviously to ultimately, I think, learn through that.
Yeah. And then improve.
That's the whole point. That's the whole point.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you. I think this was a cool chat about what are you thinking. All of our conversations come back to tell the truth, or at least don't lie.
Yes.
And also just being aware of yourself and your own thoughts and the things that you can control and can't control.
Yeah, what I really enjoy about so many of the things that we discuss is how easy it is for us to refer back to our formula.
Yeah.
And that really makes me feel comfortable. You know what?
Yeah.
As long as we keep reminding ourselves of those elements, what we must do more of and what we must do less of.
Yeah. And our common goal as a company to be simple, significant, with skin in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing is really gratifying about that is the fact that I was co-created. That is something that come from the people, for the people. I sound like a politician.
Sound better than most of them.
Maybe because of the mark on. But that really is great. That doesn't matter kind of what the topic is that we talk about and kind of what sparked the topic.
Yeah.
This is that we can so easily relate that back and really think it's a really nice reminder for us.
Yeah.
But hey guys, we're on the right track here.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. Thanks guys. See you next week.
Cheers.